Second.
First and second, any other further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Krista, anything else? Just one thing I want to add, Chris and I, we've been having discussions on getting our committees and commissions up and running, from planning to zoning, already doing it. Historic District Commission has a Zoom meeting coming up. Ag Board did a Zoom. So our boards and commissions are slowly getting up and running with Krista's, I don't want to say pester, but reassurance that they need and can get back up and running under rules and social distancing. So thank you for your work on that. Mr. Downey, any staff comments?
I have a quick question. Krista, has the environmental committee, have they reappointed a new chair?
I have not received that information.
Okay, because I knew we were waiting on that for the subcommittee, so I was just trying to figure out the subcommittee, so we can get that committee moved.
Have we each submitted our recommendations? I know I have.
I had a refusal, and now I'm asking for someone else. Someone couldn't do it. So that's what's delayed me. So, okay, we'll keep up on that. Thank you. Anything else, Krista?
No, sir.
Mr. Downey, any reports from you?
Just briefly, obviously, we're not quite a month into moving towards further reopenings. At this point, the process has been relatively smooth. I haven't heard that there's been any problems or difficulties. Obviously, we're going to continue moving in the direction to be able to perhaps move beyond the by appointment only access to public buildings. And as we do that, obviously, we're going to keep the safety and health of our staff first and foremost. There will be some additional changes as we move forward into the summer. That being said, I just want to wish the commissioners, staff, and our citizens a safe and happy 4th.
Thank you. All right, now we'll proceed with our agenda. Bid award, PUR 1471. Danny Hickson. Please introduce yourself in the matter. Thank you.
Morning. Unfortunately, Brandy's under the weather, so I'll be sitting in for Brandy. Rick Curry, Director of Purchasing.
Danny Hickson, Deputy Director of Buildings, Grounds, Facilities.
Subject before you is bid award PUR 1471, heating, vending, air conditioning, and automatic temperature control maintenance services. Recommend motion to award the heating, vending, air conditioning, and automatic temperature control maintenance service contract to responsible bidder, Mixed Plumbing and Heating of Fairmont, Maryland, based on a total base bid of $306,000, which was calculated using the formula what's in the bid document. If you recall, there was a request by Mix to have an increase and also change the contract document, which we asked the board to reject, which was done, and to grant permission to rebid for new pricing, which was also granted. The new bids were received on June 3rd. On June 3rd, as you can see on the ARF, it was listed in local newspaper and on various websites. We did receive 3 bids. It's a 1-year contract to begin July 1st, with 4 1-year options for renewal. Also in the ARF, you can see the departments that will be utilizing the contract. Funds are budgeted in the various departments' budgets, and we have concurrence from Division Director of Public Works. And also you have the bid tabulation of the bidders who submitted bids for this project. Are there any questions?
I'm going to ask the obvious question. Affordable Heating and Air Conditioning LLC of Hancock is $20,000 cheaper.
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason why we're not using them?
Well, we asked for them to have, we asked the bidders to have a certain certification, and the affordable heating does not meet that criteria.
That's a perfect answer. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions, comments? Motion to approve the award.
Motion to approve the award to Mix
Is there a
Plumbing
second?
and Heating.
Second.
First and second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item on the agenda, Brownfield Revitalization, Susan Small, Business Development. Susan, please introduce yourself in the matter.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Susan Small, Director of Business Development. I'm here today to discuss with you the review of the ordinance that I'm proposing for the Brownfield Revitalization Incentive Program. One second. Today, I'm recommending that the board adopt the attached ordinance providing the tax relief that comes from this program. It will incentivize the economic revitalization of property, which requires significant investment in order to prepare it for rehabilitation properties designated through the state of Maryland as brownfield sites. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, defines a brownfield site as a property, the expansion, redevelopment, or reuse of which may be complicated by the presence or potential presence of hazardous substance, pollutant, or contaminant. Washington County, Maryland's brownfields provides a unique opportunity for our community to meet economic development goals, environmental protection, and sustainability goals, and it will also help achieve our comprehensive plan, visions, and objectives. Washington County's brownfields can be assessed assets for revitalization, reinvestment, and redevelopment. There are approximately 21 active brownfield sites, and that is as of 2 years ago, July 18, located within Washington County on the state of Maryland's brownfields master list. The eligible sites can earn up to a 50% property tax credit on the increase, which is the difference between the pre-remediation and the post-remediation tax assessment of county and/or municipality real property tax. And the brownfield located within an enterprise zone can receive an additional tax credit of up for 10 years, and properties outside these zones receive the credit for 5 years. As of January 2019, jurisdictions that have enacted this brownfield revitalization include, and then there's quite a list: Allegheny, Anne Arundel, Baltimore, Cecil, Dorchester, Frederick, Howard, Montgomery, Prince George's, Queen Anne's, Somerset, and Worcester counties. And then there's also some municipalities, local municipalities. I attached the draft ordinance for your review. Are there any questions about the ordinance or the tax credit?
Who has to clean these up when
The purchaser.
the purchaser, or they're not actually Superfund sites though, right? Or are they Superfund sites?
No, I don't know that they relate the two, no.
Right.
Yeah.
In this here, I saw there's an additional property tax credit if it, for an extra 20% if its cost is over $1 million. Is
Right.
there, how many of those 21 would be there?
I don't know the answer to that. I can find that out for you. There are some, because this was done in 2018, there are some that have been already cleaned up.
Okay.
But the interesting bullet point below that, that the brownfield site, if it's located in an enterprise zone and they are already receiving the enterprise zone tax credit, the tax credit won't apply to the county portion. Rather, it goes towards the state portion of the property taxes. And I bring that up because it's probably important to note that one of the projects that is going to be requesting the use of this is the North Point Development Project. They are building on a qualified brownfield site, and they have used this tax credit in Baltimore County, and so therefore they know that it is existent
What was
in
on
the
that
state of
site?
Maryland.
Pardon the interruption.
Sure.
What was on that site that North Point's building on that?
I think it had
qualified-
something to do with what was there with regards to the CSX site. Yeah.
Susan, there's 21 active brownfield sites. Would you be able to provide us a listing?
Sure.
Just out of curiosity.
Do we need a legal concurrence on this? I see there's no concurrence or.
Well, for a procedural matter, I think what we're asking for today is the opportunity to take this to public hearing.
Yes.
And after public hearing, it would be appropriate to move to adopt it if that's what the board wants to do. But we just wanted permission to move forward in that process. Obviously, if you told us we have no interest in doing this, we wouldn't hold a public hearing.
Yeah, I think it's just important to note that
Because
it's
here it
just
says
another
just move
tool in
to
our
adopt
toolbox.
the ordinance. It doesn't say anything about going to public hearing with it in the recommended motion.
It needs to go to public hearing.
Okay, there's where my confusion was, that the ARF wasn't complete. Commissioners, are you okay moving this to public
Yeah, I am.
hearing?
Yes.
One more review?
I would say yes, as long as we get
Consensus.
the answers of the questions, where are they, you know, what 21s, not just the list, where they're located, if it could just be a map, I think that'd be good. But I definitely think this is a good idea, we just need to hammer up the details.
Okay.
We just need a consensus to move the public meeting. We don't need an actual vote, public hearing.
Yeah, consensus to move forward with the public hearing.
Commissioners, you okay with that, everybody? There-
I am.
I see 5 nods. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, agricultural preservation easement rankings, Chris Boggs. Please introduce yourself and the matter.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Chris Boggs, Land Preservation Planner, Department of Planning and Zoning. 2 weeks ago, at the last meeting, we met to discuss the public hearing to discuss the rankings for this year's Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation easement applicants. And as we know, just a little background, that's kind of our main easement program. It's where we have most of our permanent easement acreage tallied up, and it's been a stalwart program for since 1980. So at any rate, we had the public hearing, and I have not received any comments for or against the rankings or how it's performed since the meeting took place. I guess Krista, have you received any comments?
So, what do you
Well,
need,
then our
motion to approve
yeah.
those rankings? Is that what you're asking
Yet
today?
recommending.
Motion to approve the rankings.
First and second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, real quick, when those calculations are made as to what property owners are paid for their home, are they based on current price appraisals, or
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
don't
and-
project 10 years out
There's
or anything like
Two
that?
appraisals, aren't there,
There
for
are
it?
2 appraisals done on each application property for the 12 we send down. So each year we send 12 our top 12 applications get sent down to the state. They perform 2 separate appraisals by different appraisers. And the appraisals have nothing to do with the dwellings or even any of the ag buildings on there. It's just based on the raw land. So they take into account, development rights and, soil quality and potential for development, things like that when they calculate the appraised value. And then the Maryland Ag Land Preservation Foundation, they have what they call an ag calculation where they factor in the agricultural use of the property to kind of adjust the appraised values. And they come up with a per acre value for each farm, and multiply it out by all the acres, and that's how you get the easement value. Now, the only other important item of note with that is that they do not pay more than 75% of the fair market value of the land. So you get your fair market value, and the cap is 75% of that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, application for zoning map amendment, Travis Allen, welcome. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Sir, please introduce yourself and the matter.
Morning, Commissioners. You'll recall, Travis Allen, Comprehensive Planner, Planning and Zoning. You'll recall 2 weeks prior, we had the public hearing for the piecemeal rezoning map amendment for 0.88 acres of land to extend the existing RB floating zone that exists on the Mount Tabor Builder site at 14624 National Pike so from two existing properties over these additional 0.88 acres. The Planning Commission, as you recall, did recommend in favor of these, of the proposed rezoning at their March meeting. We only have had the one public comment in favor of the proposed rezoning at this point. Nothing else has come in since the public hearing from the public or in any other avenue since that time. So the matter is up for you to reach a consensus at this point in favor or against.
Is that a vote? I motion to,
Consensus.
We need
Once
a
you,
consensus on this one.
once you reach a consensus, my office will prepare the proposed findings of fact and the decision order.
yeah, I'm good.
Back weeks.
I see 5 nods, or,
I'm good.
okay, thank you very much.
Consensus to approve.
Consensus to approve.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, contract award, intervention and case management. Rick Curry, Allison Hartz, please come forward, introduce yourself in the matter.
Morning, again, Rick Curry, Director of
Good
Purchasing.
morning.
Allison Hartshorn, Grant Manager, Office of Grant Management.
Subject before you is contract award PUR 1470, intervention and case management for youth of incarcerated parents in Washington County. The recommended motion, award a contract for intervention and case management for youth of incarcerated parents in Washington County, Maryland to the responsible proposer with the responsive proposal, Potomac Case Management Service Incorporated of Hagerstown, Maryland, an amount of $90,000. The purpose of the service to provide is to fulfill the requirements of the county's community partnership agreement for fiscal year 2021 with the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention, Youth, and Victim Services. The services are to be performed during the contract period that commences upon contract execution and ends June 30th, 2021, with option by Office of Grant Management to renew the awarded contract up to 2 consecutive years up through 2023. And also in the RF, you can see the members who sat on the coordinated committee, and also the RF was advertised as we normally do, all bids and solicitations. Fiscal impact is from the Governor's Office, an amount of $90,000, concurrence of the coordinated committee, and also you have attached a scope of the work that the Potomac Case Management Incorporated will be performing in Washington County.
Motion to approve.
I have a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, contract award, insurance brokerage and risk management. Rick Curry, welcome back. And I
guess I'm on my own.
you may proceed if you're okay on that.
Rick Curry, Director of Purchasing. Subject before you is contract award PUR 1465, insurance brokerage and risk management services. Recommended motion, move to award a contract for insurance brokerage and risk management services to the responsive proposer with the lowest proposal cost to CBiz Insurance Services Incorporated of Cumberland, Maryland. This is a 1-year contract with 4 one-year renewals. Also, you can see who sat on the coordinated committee. We had 5 firms represented at the pre-proposal teleconference. And proposals were submitted from 4 firms. And also the description of the impact and concurrences of the coordinated committee. And also you have the price matrix of the 2 firms that submitted the proposals.
Quick question here. Under the notes, it talks about hourly rates charged for extra work. Do we know, I mean, how much do we usually use this extra work?
From my understanding, none.
Perfect. Then I move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
First and second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Intergovernmental Cooperative Purchase. Rick Curry, welcome back. Please introduce yourself in the matter.
Jack Rayner, the Highway Department Fleet Manager.
Good morning.
Subject for you is Intergovernmental Cooperative Purchase, INTG 20-0034 for 4 dump trucks for Highway Department. Recommended motion, move to authorize by resolution, the Highway Department to purchase 4 Mack dump trucks for Potomac Truck Center of Bladensboro, Maryland, at a cost of $208,818 per truck, and also an extended warranty of $3,318 for a total cost of $848,544, and also to utilize another jurisdiction's contract. Contract was awarded by Howard County's Maryland Office of Purchasing. Highway Department is requesting to purchase 4 dump trucks that will replace dump trucks that are 19 years old and exceeds the county's vehicle and equipment types and usage guidelines. The Code of Public Laws allows the board to participate in procurement of goods and services, even though we were not part of that. And the savings would be that we would not process a bid and go through the formalities of doing an evaluation, which is the savings there. And also in the fiscal impact, you can see the department has funds in their CIP budget. We have concurrence from the Deputy Director of Highways, and also the alternatives if the board decides not to award to Potomac Mack Sales and Service Incorporated.
What do we currently replace? What trucks are we replacing that are out of service? Are they Macks?
No, the Freightliners, 2001 year model.
Is that, just me asking questions, is that, I like Macks, 17 years of Mack. But do we have a lot of, I guess I'm asking maybe, do we have a lot of inventory of parts for Freightliner? It wouldn't matter if we bought Freightliner because that inventory you might have is probably obsolete to fit on new ones anyway, right?
That's correct, yes.
So that's
I mean,
not.
We still have, even if these 4 trucks are approved, we will still have 2002 Freightliners.
Oh, okay,
still
gotcha.
So any existing inventory that would be used for the 2001s would still be valid to use for the 2002s.
Well, that's my next question, is how many other trucks do we have that are above this 10-year mark that, I guess, is the county's guidelines?
These trucks, max in the fleet right now are about 36% of our fleet. The rest are Freightliners or Actera or Sterlings.
And they're over 10 years?
Yes.
So you're saying 70% of our fleet is above our guidelines?
60.
Okay. We got to start working.
What kind of we're saying is good to have a fleet replacement program every year, so our inventory of plow trucks don't reach 15 and 20 years and call extensive repairs and breakdowns when we need them the most. Is that?
The current guidelines are 10 years, so.
All right, commissioners, any more comments or thoughts?
10 years. We had, in years past, we did follow the 10-year guideline, but then when the highway user funds got cut, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. So we're making
I think
do.
the way the world's going, we're probably going to go to 12 and 15 year.
How many miles your Toyota got on, Terry?
387,000. It's for sale. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Another 300,000 on, or?
How many total dump trucks do we have?
You'll want it back.
How many total dump trucks do we have?
Well, you got highway and parks,
39 plow trucks, and then there's probably about 23 pickups with plows.
and that includes highway and parks department trucks too, and they're,
For plowing,
or any dump trucks.
there's 44 total dump trucks, but 39 are plow trucks.
Okay.
That's just in highways, right?
I didn't.
That's just in
Yeah,
highways.
that's
Yeah.
highway.
It's just highways.
the
That's
total
not-
fleet is
that's
larger
not
than
counting
that
water
for
quality or
departments.
parks or anyone else's trucks.
Yeah, I don't have those numbers.
That's okay.
What's the average mileage? I'm just asking.
He knows.
Annual mileage goes anywhere from like 4,000 to 7,000 a year on a plow truck. Depends on severity of the
Diesel?
winter.
Or gas?
We have some gas, but they're not the class 8. They would be the class 5 or gas. But all of our plow trucks, heavy duty plow trucks, are diesel.
So there you're doing about 4,000 miles a year, you said?
Average 4,000 to 7,000, depends on the
So
severity of the
these
storm.
could have anywhere from 80,000 miles on it?
The ones right now that are 19 years old are about, on average, those 4 trucks are about 70,000 miles, yeah. I mean, that's typical of a municipality.
Oh, I mean, I
always thought you'd get 1,000,000 miles.
Oh, I was
But
thinking.
there's other things in
I
factor,
was thinking
like
it's
the
gonna be
hydraulics and things like that
I thought
age.
it was going to be 200,000 or
use,
300,000.
Pardon me, sir?
Isn't there other factors other than mileage on a replacement of a truck with the hydraulic system, brakes, plow and all that? So those factors determine the replacement?
Well, the biggest culprit is the salt. That's the biggest culprit.
Once the trucks get to, I believe, is it 18 years old, Jack? Then federal and the state guidelines kick in. It's got to be inspected twice a year, or is it every 6,000 or 10,000 miles?
Yeah, that's every 12,000 or 18 months. Once a truck is 18 years old, it has to be inspected twice per Maryland.
Well, what we're running into
No more.
with the way maintenance tracks the cost, I believe last year we sold a Freightliner that we had actually bought twice with the life history of the cost. This year, one that's identified is only $8,000 behind what we paid total for it new. So we're getting to the point where we're buying them twice, and you've got a 20-year-old truck. And the salt, just plus parts availability.
What do you think we're gonna get for these 4 trucks when we sell them? Is it,
Well, that brings a question up. I'm just going to say it in here now, but it brings a question up where we have departments asking for those trucks before we even get them to be sold. And then that goes into another situation where they're being gotten rid of because they have reached that expectancy and cost factor, and the other departments who are taking these vehicles on, they're dumping money into them because they think they're saving money by not buying a new truck. And then a year later, they're coming back and saying, can we get another truck because this one's worn out? It was already worn out before you even gotten it.
Okay.
well, I agree. I think if we're saying it's not qualified to be in our fleet, we shouldn't be transferring it to another department. But, I mean, if we sold this, I mean, is it something that you're getting 5,000 from it, something you get 20,000 from?
On average, about 7. If I compare that to Max that we had in the fleet, model years 97 and 98, we sold those trucks at age 17, and those trucks brought 23 and 24,000. Whereas if it's a Freightliner, it usually gets between 7 and 9. Okay. So even though you're paying a little bit more upfront for them, you're getting it back at the,
And then that, on that end, that whopping $28,000, does that go back to the capital budget when it's sold?
as far as I know, that gets back in the general fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioners, any more comments? Motion to approve purchase.
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and second, all in favors? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Nice report.
Thank you for the discussion, too.
Yeah, it's enlightening. I always thought that diesel should make about 400,000 miles, but everything else wears out.
Well, it would if you drive like we do the buses,
Yeah.
round and around and around.
Good education.
Next on the agenda.
I like Mac.
Fort Ritchie contract extension. Mr. Downey, I believe you're making the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. As you know, the Fort Ritchie sale has been complicated by a lawsuit filed by Mr. Marley. That lawsuit was disposed of in the circuit court in favor of the county. Mr. Marley has filed an appeal. The appeal is now pending in the Court of Special Appeals for disposition. However, that means that the contract would need to be extended to allow for a delay in the closing date until the appeal is resolved in the Court of Special Appeals. So this is a request to again extend the agreement of sale for real property until that appeal is resolved. I will point out that we had placed in the extension is until the earlier of either the date the appeal was fully resolved and concluded with no further proceedings pending or being pursued, or October 31st, 2020. That October 31st, 2020 was a placeholder. That is going to have to be extended because we have since received the briefing schedule from the Court of Special Appeals, and it's not likely to be resolved by that point.
Kirk, I got to ask this, and I really am serious about this. What are we doing to recover our losses? It's costing us $75,000 a month just for the fort, not to mention all legal, all the time, and not to mention what's happening on Mr. Krompovich's side of the fence. We need to, if it's been through court once, I know everybody has the right to appeal, and we're appealing there, but that leaves us losing a lot of money. I think, is there plans for recovery of our losses, providing this continues on the way it's already had?
We have had discussions internally. I'd rather not get into detail in an open public session regarding what strategies we may pursue to address the
I guess
concerns
I'm
that you're
making a
raising.
statement as commissioner. I'd like that to happen if it's costing everybody money.
I understand.
All right, commissioners, any other comments?
Well, would it be appropriate in 2 weeks that we could have a closed session meeting on that?
We could, yes. I'd be glad to provide you with advice in regards there too, certainly.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Is there a motion to approve the extension as stated?
With the understanding that we can adjust the date that I referred to.
And to repeat that, what would the motion be for how long?
Until it's done.
Until it's done, basically.
A court settlement date?
Well, we have an end date there somewhere, don't we?
We do, I'd say up to a year would be completely safe. It can certainly be shorter than that. I think arguments will probably be sometime in November. And then after that, the court will have to have some time to render its.
Again, the recovery would be quite substantial.
No, we've asked for an expedited trial and that, I'm assuming it was denied.
The request for expedited appeal was approved.
Okay.
Okay, the motion,
Expedited is November.
the motion would be that we extend the contract to after the settlement of the court. Is that how you want that phrased?
Yeah, a motion to approve the Fifth Amendment to the contract of sale with the understanding that the date that's in there is going to be changed once we consult with buyer's counsel, given the new information that's been received.
Really, at this point, if we didn't extend it, that would be, that we can't do anything with the property anyways while it's on suit. So I motion to extend the property, the settlement.
There a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, is there any way that we can find out, I'd like to know exactly what it's costing us per month right now. I know they've done a lot of cost, they've attempted to cut the cost of.
In our attorney's efforts?
I can
and
ask
things
Public
like that.
Works to get that information together.
All right, I have first and second,
Just
Wayne.
one more comment, I could be in support of it if we would also amend the contract to back out those, forget the terminology, but the dollar amounts that we would agree to pay pertaining to the road reconstruction, the water sewer infrastructure, and the responsibility with the dams and the lakes. That's an ongoing concern for me. The unknown cost to the taxpayers for that's substantial and unknown. So I could be in agreement with an extension under those circumstances.
Anybody want to add that to the motion?
So that means we would eliminate, or the county would not have any responsibility for maintaining the lakes.
It would be sold true as is.
Well, we have a current motion on the floor. I'll ask for a vote on that. If that doesn't pass, I'll ask for you. So we have a current motion on the floor to approve the motion as stated. I have a first and a second. All in favor of extending that, say aye.
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 No.
3-2. Motion carries. Thank you for your suggestion. Having completed that, I see no more items on our agenda. Motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
First. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a second to adjourn?
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Good one.
Well, yeah, and I don't know how much money he's got in.
Yeah, I'll just.
Okay.
No,
Nothing close to that.
I talked to